Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Marcus from TCG Discussions coming at you today with an OP12 ban list discussion video. Today, we're going to talk about some cards I think deserve to be on the ban list, a card that I think everyone wants on the ban list, but it won't go there, and then a few cards I think that can come back, and I'll give my reasons for those. So let's get into it. So Gungan Giant, it's a community-hated card, strong in the end game, net even an advantage, broken with BP because you can stack 2Ks on top of the deck and search it. Honest thoughts, though, I personally see this card as a problem, not the problem in BP. I think this card will not get banned. I expect this card to stick around for a while. There's a reprint coming along with other Straw Hat purple decks that can use this card. I think it is here to stay. Bottom line, I think the second to last sentence with the purple Straw Hat decks and the reprint are the reason why this card won't get banned. So I think we're gonna be stuck with Ploofies for a while. 9 Mom, Charlotte Linlin, 9 cost, broken in BP with the 9 cost Sanji, gives purple a heal factor that should not have access to, is oppressive for low life purple decks because of the heal, 2 tempo swing at a minimum. Honest thoughts, this card is a problem to me in BP. Along with the 9k body you get, your opponent loses a 6 cost card. It removes the concept of a deck being a low life leader. It swings tempo way too early. Blackbeard shutting this card off is what makes BP way more human than it normally feels that it is, and this card 100% needs to be banned. By doing so, you nerf every purple Luffy deck that can abuse this card, including Pluffy himself and BP, and they can reprint a similar effect and lock it to Big Mom only. Just to explain this so that everybody gets this, when you're at 6 Dawn, if going first, BP plays Zorojuro and then ramps in a Bond Clay in gear second, you will be going to 6 Dawn when on their following turn, they will be able to play 9 cost Sanji into this card. That means they get 2 9Ks, remove any card you've played up to that point as long as there's no protection for it with this card while healing a card. You will go into 8 and they will again play Sanji and then potentially have another heal, another removal, on top of which they will now have 4 9K bodies. You have lost the game. Anyone who does not understand how stupid that is, and that this card is the primary facilitator for how oppressive that is, because you are not only losing an attacker every turn, you are also having to go through 1 more life against BP. That alone is enough to warrant this card's ban. Also, Pluffy has abused this card since basically set 9 meta, and it is the only reason why it is still remotely around. And it is because of the fact that the cost of the leader is basically nullified by this card's existence. So again, these low life purple leaders or leaders that are using their effects to get to High Dawn, like Pluffy, get to use this card to mitigate the cost of that effect. So these low life leaders now become like basically like a 4, 5, 6, 7 life leader while being 6k with both red purple Luffy and blue purple Luffy. And in Pluffy, again, it becomes a 5 life leader that goes to 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's ridiculous. Also, when doing that, they get to draw more cards, right? So I just think that it's just kind of crazy because with Pluffy, you can take that life again to ramp the Dawn back to make it active. So I think this card just needs to be banned. I think this card is definitely the problem. I think that the tempo that this card provides is way too strong, and the fact that purple can ramp to it is absurd. So Garing Mary or Merry-Go, the reasons why this card deserves to be banned are quite obvious. It's just the effects on the card. It draws a card, and +2 to GP's cards is beyond toxic. So honest thoughts, this card for me ranks right up there with 9 cost Linlin. The reality is GP does not need this card to do what it does, which is play Sanji Pudding, get Dawn back, play other cards, and swing 7s and 6s and be a 6k leader while having Dawn back for Giant. It just ensures what it does, creates less counterplay against GP, and therefore ruins games. Additionally, cards like Gravity Blade and Finger Pistol and other black decks just suffer more than necessary because of the stage. It is consistency and protection while filtering to more cards in a deck that has 24 draw cards already, and GP should have this card limited, but to me it is 100% ban worthy. 1 stage is enough to ruin a game. I think that people are going to argue that you should limit the card. I think that it just needs to be banned. The problem with GP is that the majority of the decks outside of red base all of their removal on cost. Every color, right? Yellow does it, black does it, blue does it, purple does it, every other color. Green's removal, it's Shanks just KOs a rested card, but even green resting cards to swing over it or do something with it is reliant on cost. This card literally stands against 5 colors. It's just way too broken. And to tell you how stupid this effect is, even for a single card, right? It's the fact that black purple's effect, its generic effect to increase the cost of all the cards, that is the issue in and of itself. itself. That is the problem. If you have multiple cards that are increased in cost, this is the natural counter to black or other removal. But what this card does is it ensures the best card on the board every turn lives without being able to be removed by cost dependent cards. And because of that, and because red as a removal control color isn't really good, it just makes it so that this card is way too oppressive, allows GP cards to live, and you just get avalanched out of the game. So I think that if they're going to address this deck in any way, they need to ban this card. I think this card definitely deserves to be banned. It is 100% ban worthy to me, and I don't see an entire universe where this card shouldn't be the first card to be axed out of the deck. So Hodi Jones, this is going to be a hot take. Here we go. Hodi the Bone Jones, rush 8k, prevents starving, removes the concept of blockers outside of Blackbeard. Against Blackbeard is a free rush, can tap Dawn and /4 characters on top of everything else. Broken and Red Jean Smoker. Green is handicapped by this card completely. It creates oppressive game states, and like Gungan Giant wins you games that you should not win. My honest thoughts on this card. I truly believe that this card can be banned and brought back in a new form that is Fishman only. Additionally, while it is a counter to Gungan Giant, and that is fine, I think that against everyone else, this card just breaks the game state and wins nearly every time it is played. It 100% deserves a ban. There are several ways that this card could have been more fair for green, but the reality is it's not, right? They could have made it so that you could either tap characters or Dawn, not both. The fact that you can tap both and have the option to tap both creates just completely oppressive. Gungan Giant, let's just say that they removed it. If I play like 9-cost Sanji into Katakuri and BP, and they just tap the Katakuri and the Dawn, and say they ban Giant, which Gungan Giant, having that counterplay for Giant is fine, but having counterplay for anything else that isn't that is not fine. And I think that monumentally, this card is just completely ridiculous in those kinds of game states. Against decks that are at 0 life and blocker up, again, this card is just completely ridiculous. Tapping those blockers, basically getting completely and utterly around the fact that they have no way for lethal, and then all of a sudden, lethal is completely present. I think this card is just completely insane in that regard. And to make matters worse, the fact that this card takes a life basically ensures that you can never starve green, because when they get to 7+ Dawn, they will gladly slam this card every single turn because it is guaranteed 8k at your face on top of them getting a card, and they're not starved anymore, while having an incredibly oppressive effect to make sure that that 8k is probably going to connect. And they can bring this card back like Gecko Moria, maybe make it Fishman only and have it less oppressive. On top of everything else, Hodi will see a little less play in certain decks, but the reality is Dead Man's Game and this card is completely cracked in Smoker. So you can literally play Hodi, untap a bunch of Dawn, and Dead Man's Game something. It's completely cracked. I think that, quite honestly, this card just needs to be banned. Karasu, hello problem child, I did not forget about you. So Karasu is obviously a key piece in Bello Betty, and if BP is still around, then it is entirely possible that Bello will be as well. This card is flat out oppressive, and multiples create an extremely oppressive game state where countering is flat out not possible. So honest thoughts on this card. You know I'm not biased because I do not believe that Bello is favored into us, so the Blackbeard gang. However, outside of Blackbeard, this card is completely oppressive to every deck, okay? Games end in 5 minutes due to this card, and I think that it 100% deserves to be banned. Bello can still function with her go wide strategy and play for a longer game without the immediate nuke button that this card provides. She gets to keep her Ivankov go wide lines and buff attacks on the next turn without making 2k cards that get buffed into 5k and 2k counter to get out of. Karasu should be banned outright. Every other Rev Army card is balanced but this card. This is going to seem pretty harsh for Bello. Here's the reality. If Bello goes second and she plays just a Raise Max and 1 Bello Searcher, and then the next turn plays Ivankov Karasu, and you're playing against a 5k leader and they're only at 3 Dawn. That is literally 3 2ks to stop the 5 that's coming from Race Max, the 5 that's coming from the Bello Searcher, and the 5 that's coming from the leader. The subsequent turn from that for Bello Betty at 6 Dawn, if they play a Karasu at that juncture, you will then be forced to take a 7 from the leader at a minimum. Let's just say you killed the Raise Max and the Bella somehow. You will take a 7k from the leader. You will take an 8k from a Karasu. You will take an 8k from an Ivankov. They will play out another card off the Ivankov. And if the card that they played out off that Ivankov is a third Karasu, which we're extremely high rolling at this point, but it's just possible, and that is against a 5k leader, that will literally be a 2k leader because of the triple Karasus taking a 7-8-8. Again, you're dead. It's not possible. The game's over. You've lost the game. This card is just an absolute menace. It's a problem. Even without the high roll of the second one, 7-8-8 at a 3k leader, right? Not going down to 2, which is where now Bello Betty searchers are striking at you for free, right? Without the completely oppressive line, double Karasu at that juncture is absolutely lethal. Most decks will just outright lose at 5k. So I think that for decks that can't answer this card fast enough, early enough, coupled with the fact that what it does in terms of pressure and how it affects the ability to counter, this card definitely deserves to be banned. And I think that, like, I think Bello is actually kind of a problem because there's other ways to play it other than this Karasu spam, go low in hand, and skillful Bello Betties just don't play that way. Play the second way that I'm talking about, which is to go wide, preserve, set up, attack, control, go, right? And I think that, like, this card basically perpetuates a Hodor aggro strategy that just shouldn't exist in the game, and I want it banned. Gum Red Rock. This card, broken, trigger to bottom deck of 4, and it's static, which is really good. Searchable MVP, Raigo was banned, but this wasn't. Strongest form of removal for any card. And so when I initially made my complaining video about Raigo's ban, I got a lot of flack for saying, we get it, you think Raigo deserves to be here, enough crying already. Imagine right now with what I'm about to say here, in light of BP's existence, you all are probably thinking a little bit differently about this card. So this is a hot take centered on the fact that I do not believe they will ban the BP leader. 100%. I do not think they're going to ban BP at all. While this card is getting rotated, 1 card answers to a 10 cost that are not a 10 cost play themselves are extremely problematic for end game decks. And the difference between this card and Raigo is that there's a true cost to playing Raigo, and so therefore not every yellow deck can play it. This card would be a significant nerf to BP as well. Screw block rotation. This card is 100% ban worthy right now. It is top 5 searchable and +1 on draw in BP. I just can't stress that last sentence enough. This card is 100% ban worthy right now as long as this is top 5 searchable and +1 on draw in BP. Decks would actually beat BP if this card did not exist. So 10 cost Kuzan for Lucci, if it sticks, they lose. The math on that, just for the record, they could establish Jack the turn prior, Lucci swing plus 10 cost Kuzan play. So the leader effect, the 5 reduced from the Kuzan, and Jack now kills any 9 cost in the deck. The closer you get to that, the less likely BP is going to be able to survive the game while taking 10k swings. The other issue is that 10 cost Kuzan is not searchable, so black doesn't have a good way to even get it anyway without hard drawing the card. On top of Lucci milling, sometimes it can create inconsistency in that game plan. But what stands in the way of that control game plan for Lucci or any other black deck that would like to play it is this card, because they could just dedicate their next turn to removing the card, and now you just have no counterplay without drawing another one. So I really do think that Gum Red Rock, as long as BP exists, is ban worthy. And it's going to get rotated out anyway. I think that as long as it can be top 5 search to just take out any strong boss card, it needs to be banned. So cards that can come back, Ice Age. This hit was far too far for black. It needs to have a return so there's easier outs to bigger boards without having to rely on 10 cost Kuzan to kill something. I think that the trigger on this card is okay and would provide black with a little bit more trigger cushion against slow to the ground aggro decks like Bella Betty. Black, after losing Gecko and this card, has virtually left the format entirely, which to me isn't healthy, much like yellow with Raigo. I think this card is perfectly fine to come back. I think this was a step too far in curbing black, and I realized that they were successful in removing black from the meta. This card being banned is precisely why GP is able to run the format. So an easy example of this is Ice Age leader swing into a Brook play will actually kill a buffed Sanji Pudding, which, you know, to me, I don't care that GP is suffering their cards getting getting removed. I don't. I absolutely just don't care. That deck is just oppressive. Like, GP just outright 100% wins if it sees what it needs to see in most of its matchups. It just wins, except for the ones that are extremely bad for it. So I think that, like, when you have a deck that has like only 2 counters, I think that black entering to stop both is just fine. Like, it's good against Bello and it's good against GP. While Ice Age is also good at helping address double 9 cost, 9/8 plays from BP. So I think that, like, not giving black the ability to have this card as an early game response to a deck that ramps when I'm at 6 Dawn to 2 9 cost plays, I think is just a little unfair. Because, like, if they're gonna have this double 9 cost, 9k double tempo swing of the 9 mom, I definitely deserve to have this card as a black player, just 100%. So that's just my thoughts. Maybe this card is too oppressive. Let me know down in the comment section down below what you think. Next one, cards that can come back, Raigo. I do not know why this card was ever banned. Removed yellow from having any chance in the format. Literally, like, if Blackbeard was top deck, yellow just can't play the game. Most of the time, yellow just still can't play the game either way against Blackbeard. It's like green yellow law only right now or bust, and it's the green part that's carrying that. It's not the yellow part. Just give them their 3 life crit, life depend trigger card back, please. The point is that Raigo forces people to trash their life. So it can be played in every yellow deck. It can basically only be played in an L and BY Luffy. And the trigger is life dependent. So by the time you're playing this card, the trigger in and of itself is defeated by the play of the card itself. And life dependent KO is definitely worse than static 4 bottom deck. So again, I don't really know why this card is banned. I mean, for the people who think that this card plus 10 cost an L would be too broken for an L, you need to understand the hard minus of playing this card with the 10 cost an L on top of the heal of the Anel itself. While it can be oppressive, it's hard minuses from Anel's hand. If they're gonna win because the 10 cost Anel lived, not because of this card. And you probably didn't lose because they played this card after the 10 cost Anel anyway. You probably lost because Anel just overhealed. So additionally, to prove that this isn't broken in Anel literally had both at the same time for Japan and it never topped. So I personally think that Anel can get this card back. I think yellow can get this card back and it's fine. It's also a block 2 card. And, you know, this is just the worst hit of all time while Red Rock is now searchable by a leader. I mean, it's just stupid, bro. Like, the fact Red Rock is literally a bottom deck, which is the strongest for removal, and to top it off, it's searchable by a leader. It is just ridiculous, right? Like, they're not even spending a Dawn to play a 1-drop searcher to get that Red Rock. They are flat out top 5 searching for it every turn. And now this card, right, which is only searchable, I guess, off of Dureshi, which requires 3 Dawn. I think the issue now is that we're talking about someone spending 3 Dawn for Dureshi to have a worse, more costly effect, while Red Rock is just getting searched off of the strongest leader in the game with the strongest effect to also go +1. So personally, I think that this card can come back as long as they're going to justify Red Rock staying around for BP. I think this card can come back for yellow. And I think that it will literally give yellow a little bit more of a presence in the meta. And I don't think it would be oppressive by any means. And if yellow did become strong, Blackbeard would just rise to crush it. This is the last card that I think can come back, Sakazuki. I think this leader is beyond safe to come back now. I do not believe that with all the power creep that this deck is even a broken deck. Outright loses tempo and war against nearly every deck, has less playability than other decks as well. He is just a good leader at this point with high skill ceiling and in no way would be the best deck of the format by far. The Bobby Yaga fear around this card is preventing a serious expression of skill that the game could use as well, because right now everyone is just playing brain dead rush decks, brain dead Luffy decks, brain dead Gungan Giant decks. Oh look, I flopped 2 9Ks out, now you just lose the game, right? If this deck rose to be a counter to those decks, which is not possible anyway, I think that it would be a very good expression of skill. That this deck would just get waxed if it came back against 90% of the top meta in 12 and now in 11. So just to let you know, Zoro auto wins against this deck. It's not possible for Sakazuki in any format to beat Zoro. First off, Zoro doesn't need cards to kill you, and he can play cards that will tap the cards that Sakazuki is trying to play to control the game while getting to attack over those cards, costing Saka cards, and then attack his life. Zoro is the hardest counter to this deck that this has ever seen. You are literally going to have any blocker that you play tapped. It's going to be swung over by the leader, and then they're just going to attack you. And then the numbers that Zoro can swing with at the end of the game are just way too serious when this is 0. Blockering up doesn't even matter whatsoever. Additionally, if you think that this deck even has a remote chance without Ice Age to being BP, you're smoking crack. There is no way that at 6 Dawn, this deck has any potential to handle 2 9 costs coming down with the Sanji, let alone a 9/8 in Katakuri. Even if it could out one card, it's not going to out both cards. And then if they play a Sanji again, he is just flat out been tempoed out. And that's not including if 9-Mom doesn't get banned and not Sanji played 9-Mom. If that happens, then Sakazuki's lost the game. Additionally, on top of everything else, I think that Kuzan as a blue Navy leader actually is stronger than this deck by far, because what Kuzan does is Kuzan just hyper draws too many cards and filters way more through his deck than Sokka does, while playing basically the same endgame that BP has. It's basically a 5-life blue BP. Bella Betty would also wax this deck, 100%. People would be like, no, dude, it's a control deck. We've got Houndblaze, we got everything else. That's great. Bella Betty doesn't care about that. You're a 4-life leader that's going to get reduced down to nothing, and you're going to give me all the counter in your hand in the early game. You better wipe my board by like the second or third turn, or the game's over. All right, like that's where Bella's at right now. She's really serious. You're not going to be able to keep up with the green-yellow laws. And this is also something that needs to be said against this deck. The amount of printed cards that protect your board are insane. Literally, the Capone Gang Veggie blocker literally protects all of Green Yellow Law's board. Like Green Yellow Law would just flat out run this deck over. There's nothing to say. They just play that card. Their Cavendish lives, whatever. Green has Tashigi, making it completely impossible without removing the Tashigi first to even get to their cards. Let alone the fact that once Kid gets on the board, like this doesn't have anything. Additionally, this deck doesn't have Gecko Moria anymore, so that's not going to be a thing. And even with Rebecca, Zoro eats Rebecca alive. Zoro Sanji, another deck that, again, the KO aspects of Lucci, they don't exist. It's going to be bottom deck only or bust. And because of all these events, Sokka will probably end up bricking and losing the game against the faster decks. So I think that it has no chance against BP. If GP gets to keep its stage, it has almost zero chance of winning that game either. You're not going to be able to remove the Sanji puddings fast enough. Purple Luffy is disgusting and will hyper ramp to Katakuri and then start playing 9-Moms and the game's over. Additionally, like, you know, even red Purple Luffy and Shanks, like all these decks just absolutely will wax this leader. And then there's Blackbeard. Blackbeard is like the penoptimal, you've lost, you're not winning, this is over. So I just think that like this deck has nothing going for it. I think that honestly, you could bring this leader back and it's going to be completely fine. So again, let me know in the comment section down below what you think this deck can do. This is a boogeyman leader that everyone fears of running the format, that it just wouldn't win. And even if it does do well, that guy's got to be really good to compete in a format like this where it's like Hodor, drop big bodies or bust. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think is going to be on the ban list, or these takes, if you think it's reasonable or not. And like, comment, and subscribe. You guys are the best as always. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is Marks from TCG Discussion signing off. Laters.
起きろ。起きろ。起きろ。